Hey, everybody, we always forget to say this, but if you love Funbearable, we're really trying to grow. No spoilers, but I think we're going to do a crossover podcast with some heavy hitters in the podcasting industry very soon.
Well, let's just say it's going to be the Funbearable experience. You know what I mean?
I see.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying?
There is something fun coming up, but if you love the show...
The Joe Bearable experience.
The Fun Rogan Bowl. If you do love the show, tell a friend, share it on your social media. Please rate and review on iTunes and subscribe, obviously, if you haven't, and subscribe to our YouTube. But if you could help us spread the word, we'd love that. We love you. Thanks for all the great listener mail and the boy crime stuff recently. It's been super fun. And thank you to the Fun Bears.
And also to the casual listeners that don't consider themselves like fans of the podcast,
Right.
but like they find themselves listening to each episode as it comes along. It's time to face it. You're in.
You're a Fun Bear.
It's too late for you. So just go ahead and fully embrace it.
Also, thank you to the people who are using this podcast to learn English.
Let me just say to you, gracias.
And bonjour.
That's hello.
Well, yeah.
Merci would be thank you.
I could say hello.
Yeah, sure. I wonder what it would be in Japanese. That's a call forward.
We're about to find out.
And take it away, us. Well, I don't know what to say there. I don't know.
So you were just talking about the fact that you had an experience at a mall with a lady that you met
I don't like
there.
that. I don't like the way you just said that. That sounded like I was molested at the mall. I had an experience at the mall. Like I was pulled into
you were
a
the
restroom.
molested.
Oh, I
And
thought
you know what's messed up? It was the family restroom.
You were. I didn't say you were molested.
I thought you were talking to me, and I was agreeing wholeheartedly. I had an incident at a mall.
Oh my God.
So-
Wouldn't it be insane if we find out later that like I was the victim of molestation at the mall and Brad was
Molestation.
The perpetrator?
he was the molester, yeah.
That would be bizarre.
Yeah.
How old? He's 5 years older than you.
I mean,
Yeah, I think
age is just a number.
Let me.
If we're talking mindset,
Are we talking count the rings or are we talking vibe? Right? Vibe is different.
Let me check my spreadsheet of molestations. Received wrong tab. Completed.
so when I was like 17,
Hold on, this is pre-roll. We haven't even done welcome to the podcast. And
Well,
you're
it's very
starting
true.
with when I was 17.
it's very. Well, go ahead. You open the podcast.
Yeah, and then we could get into
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Funbearable. I am Brad Rohr.
My name is Ray, the accuser Harrington.
I am Chuck, the molestation spreadsheet guru for Brad. It's Brad's spreadsheet.
Oh, so
I
you're,
just make sure that it's all in format.
Do you have a last name?
Staten.
Thank you.
so you're like a personal assistant for a molester?
Well, he's just so fevered when he types it out that
Yeah.
it has to be
Yeah,
the
one-handed
columns.
and everything.
He
Yeah.
doesn't change the columns to the right color.
That is fair. But we were talking about the mall to catch listeners up, right?
Yep.
So just briefly, I took my son up to southern Maine over the weekend for like a last of the summer kind of trip,
Yeah.
just the two of us, right?
Yeah.
And that was a really father-son adventure. What
Yeah.
a delightful time. And I have something about that, an update for something down the road. Of this episode.
Okay.
So the road is short, but it's
Right.
slightly it's a driveway.
It's like a cul-de-sac.
Life,
Yeah, it
life is a
does go
driveway.
in circles.
Yeah.
It does feel
Sure.
directionless. Yeah.
Most of the houses are frightening.
Yeah. Oh. Some condemned, you know. But I took my son to Southern Maine, and the mall that I grew up with was the Fox Run Mall in Newington, New Hampshire, right?
Yeah.
I lived in Kittery, Maine, right
Right.
over the bridge. There was the mall. What is that?
Isn't Fox on the Run? Isn't that a song?
I don't know. I think Band on the Run is a song.
Band on the Run is definitely a song.
Yeah.
I think Fox.
Fox on the Run.
I think there's a 70s song.
I don't think
This
so.
guy with his hobo tunes. I don't know about this shit. You know what I mean? Was it
It's-
played on a washboard?
No, it was played on a gramophone. Just a gramophone.
Oh, yeah.
And if you heard it playing, it meant they had a meal for you inside.
Did the song go like Well, I knew a fox that was on the run. Like that kind of
Yes,
thing.
yes.
Ooh, salt and pepper. And you just like duck out of the window.
I want to go back.
Do you have
to
any of
eating-
that bread in a can?
You do seem like a guy who would like bread in a can.
I've never tried it, but I'm down.
Me too.
I mean,
Fox Run Mall.
yeah. Oh no, are we gonna have an episode where we have to open a can of bread?
This is why. This is why I was like, I don't know if we're gonna need the hypotheticals. 'cause-
That's for another episode.
Yep.
That's for another. We'll get there. Don't let them behind. Don't let them see how the sausage is sort of made.
Yes.
it's canned.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say the sausage is made. It's more like sort of roughly shaped.
I don't
I
know
was
if we're
gonna say-
legally allowed to call it sausage.
I
Yeah.
think it's pushed out.
Yeah, but they're in link form. So
It's muscled out.
So I went to the Fox Run Mall with my son Finn, who is
Yeah.
10 years old, and I'm child of the late 80s and in the 90s. Like the mall.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Grow up in the mall.
Love
Yeah.
them all.
It's where the puberty is.
We've talked about them all.
That's what it said
on
at
this
the-
podcast.
on the marquee there. Fox Run Mall. It's where the puberty is. But going into that mall, I've been in other malls in the past decade, of course,
Yeah.
where it's like you walk in and you immediately know. It is not, there's never been a questionable, is this mall struggling or is it doing well?
Right, you know.
You walk in and the first, you are immediately hit with, oh, it's dying, right?
Yeah.
Like you just know it's in its hospice care moments.
Yep.
Yes.
And so like that you see less of the recognizable stores and now there's more of these weird named stores where you're like, that's super local and also sketchy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we went to the Fox Run Mall and I'm sad to report the Fox Run Mall is dying. It's on its last legs. So many memories there. I
Yeah.
was
Fox Run
going with
Run.
Finn, and it was a delightful time. A lot of like, and over there was a Suncoast Video, and over there that was this, and then there was a kiosk here, and it used to be this thing. Like a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And he was great about it, which was fun. We found a couple of neat things, but it really I haven't been there since I probably lived in the area and I worked there. That's where the Arby's stories come from. It was
Yeah.
That
the
mall,
food
yeah.
court.
Yeah.
So I nothing but fond memories. It was very weird to be in this like ghost of my memory with
Right.
my son.
Yeah.
It was interesting. And what I got to was there were a couple of reminders of some ladies that I met
Right.
in various ways, shapes, and forms.
Yeah.
Just like the ladies.
Yep.
They had various ways, shapes, and forms. But it was funny because it's like, oh look, that used to be this place,
Right.
and my friend worked there. Oh yeah, and then I met that girl there, and then having my 10-year-old be like, what girl? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like
Mommy?
I'm cheating on. Yeah. Are you stepping out on mommy?
Yeah.
And I was like, no. I had to say at one point, like, I didn't even know Kalina existed at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But it was.
Except you forgot her name. You're like, I didn't even know. Kalina. Whew.
I want to say
Arby?
Mammy? Is that it?
Mammy.
Mammy.
Fox on the
I don't.
Run?
Actually, I don't think you can say mammy anymore.
I don't think you're
I don't
supposed
know.
to.
Mommy's canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, it was super interesting. And then before we were recording, I shared one of the stories about those ways, shapes, and forms.
Yeah.
And
And
it
Chuck's-
reminded
Chuck
Chuck.
has a story
Well,
when he was a young
you
boy.
you also sparked another thing that happened recently that was really funny.
Yes.
I went to Colorado to see my girlfriend Natalie, and we're going to go to the movies, and the AMC was right across from the mall, around where she lives in Colorado Springs, or close by. And so she's like, "Oh, we'll just go in the mall for like 45 minutes till the movie starts." And I said,
Yeah.
"Okay." We start walking through the mall. Now it's maybe 6:30 p.m., 7 p.m. on a Friday night, which to me, when I was a kid, the mall was packed.
That's PMT, prime mall time.
That's
That's like-
when the puberty happens.
yes.
It is. It's the mall kids. It's the teenage kids are there that night.
Yeah.
We go in. It's like completely empty, right? And it's a big mall. It's a pretty big mall. You ever go into a mall too that's like confusing, where it goes like this and then it has different like wings and legs?
Oh yeah.
So it was one of those. So it even felt
Yeah.
like more of a maze. And it's just empty. And I'm going by, not chain stores. It's like Jimmy's Computers.
Yeah.
They had 4 different collectible stores that were independently owned.
Yes. Oh, that's what's
Yeah.
left in this mall as well. And it's like they're all weird names. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like you're going by and you're like, oh, that's the Coco Pelli, I guess is the place that it's called now.
So we're walking around. I'm like, this mall's pretty dead, huh? And she goes, huh? And I go, this mall is like very dead. She's like, no. She's like, this place is usually hopping. And that's the word exactly.
She said usually hopping?
Usually hopping, which has become a thing now that we say.
Yeah.
But she's like, no, it's usually hopping. And we're like, and I, this is probably 3 months into our relationship.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. Like, kind of like, there's something wrong with this lady. We're walking through. Eventually, we come across a guy. He's probably a football field away so far. And he's going, hello! To his echo! Like, legitimately.
Yeah.
Right? Which, I'm like, that's a sign.
That's a dead mall.
Yeah, that's mall tumbleweeds.
This is a Simpsons episode all of a sudden.
By the way, we could do this entire episode just on the mall.
We did a
As
mall
Did
episode.
Yeah.
we already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We learned
Remember
about
the Victorian lady?
Yes. Yeah, vaguely.
We did a mall episode because of mall rats.
Yeah, it was the
Jason
Jason
Lee,
Lee
right.
Nathan
Yeah,
Suplee.
yeah.
I'm sure we have more.
Yeah.
I'm sure we have way more.
Follow up, we could do a mall episode
In a mall.
because they're so fucking dead.
Oh,
no
we could.
one will interrupt.
I know, we could go sit in Santa's thing.
Yeah, actually, we had Dave walk in on this studio. One of the co-owners of the Comedy Connection, walked into the studio one day when we were recording, and it ended up on the episode.
Yeah.
I think we'd get less interruptions.
Because we had one person
Dead
walk
center
in
in the mall.
one time over the course of 115 episodes. Yeah.
At most, we're going to get one borderline dementia patient kind of just strolling through, right?
And
Is this a fundraiser?
We're like, we already have one borderline dementia patient.
So
vibes.
So the final thing that happened, which it was just
Yes.
like the cherry on top. So the guy was like, hello, and I'm like, and Natalie's, I'm making fun of her for saying it's hopping. I'm like, is this hop? This is the guy. And so, we're seeing all this stuff. And we start going up the escalator, and it's like wicked shaky. And all of a sudden it goes, ka-chunk. And we all fall.
Oh my God.
I was like, this is a dead mall.
Yeah.
We had kind of had a
Well,
thing.
that escalator was saying, like, this is the busiest I've been in
Yes.
months.
Yeah.
I had 3 people on me at the same time.
So it's always stopped, and when you step on it, you hear someone go,
You hear like a little police sound.
yeah. So the story I wanted to tell was when I was 17, I went, at the time, for some reason, and I'm sure you guys had the same kind of thing, there just happened to be like some weird chain restaurants near you where for some reason your friends always ended up.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
Fridays or whatever. For us, a lot of times it was Fridays because our old buddy Souza would work there as a chef, and they were open till 1 a.m., which was later than all the other ones.
Yes.
But one of the ones that was near my parents' house was Friendly's, which is like, it's like kind of like a chain version of dinery ice cream stuff.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like hot, hamburgers, hot
Yeah.
dogs, grilled cheese. And I went in to see my friends who were there, and I was hanging out with my friend Janelle. And she, for some reason, she stayed in the car. And I was like, I'm just going to run in. Maybe I had to give them something for the band. Who knows? And she stayed in my parked car.
Oh, I think it's because she didn't want to go into the Friendlies with you because then you would have to do legally like 7 dozen happy ending jokes.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're always nudging and you're pointing at the menu.
My favorite, by the way, we do have a consistent happy ending joke, but it's that Friendly's has to pay out Brad because the Sunday has a likeness.
That is fun.
Yeah.
It's great that it's so G-rated.
Yes.
Yeah. The other running happy ending joke that we have is the fact that Brad and I have watched the very funny Happy Endings television show that you have not.
I've watched the first season.
But okay, all right.
I think you watched
good.
the first 9 episodes.
6.
Okay.
This is back in the day. It's not. It's not now when a season is like there's 4 episodes.
I thought maybe it was one of the short seasons because it started,
They're all the writer's strike.
I think a lot of TV shows start out with short seasons like that. Comic Book Men was 6 seasons, season 1. But so I go in to run in.
Yeah.
Janelle comes in after like 2 minutes, and I'm like, "Oh, what's up?" Because she was waiting in the car. She goes, "Someone backed into your car." And I'm like, okay. So I go outside. This is my first accident, and I didn't even really see it happen or anything.
Yeah.
So I go outside, and it's this nice lady. I would say at the time she seemed a lot older than me because I was 17, but she was probably like 28, maybe.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a nice old lady.
No.
And it's Marjorie Friendly.
And so she goes,
Heir to the Friendly Fortune.
I'll
so
give you a happy ending.
Oh, I'm so sorry about the car.
And you're like,
I
okay,
backed
cool.
into
And you're like,
that.
I love ice cream. And she's like, ice cream.
Yeah.
But
Since I backed into you, the only right thing to do would be you back into me.
yeah. So I was like, oh, and I didn't know anything. So she said to me, I'm driving my fiance's mother's car. And I don't want to call the police because I don't want to get the insurance involved. I'm the driver. I feel bad. I work at the candle store in the Swansea Mall in Massachusetts, which is right across the street from Friendly's. She goes, can you come in this week and I'll just like settle it. Just get an estimate for how much it's going to be to fix and I'll settle it. And I go, okay, I'm 17. I don't have any sort of fucking...
Oh, she saw you coming.
So I go to my parents and I'm like, hey, this is what happened. My dad's like, oh, you can't do that. You can't just let people say, I'm going to pay you later, whatever.
Did you get her information?
I got her information.
Okay.
So we go into, me and my dad.
Belinda, friendly.
Happy Sunday.
My phone number is EST period 1953.
Yes,
My
Steve,
name
a little
is
strange, but,
Emily Yankee.
Yes.
Candleman.
so I go in. Let's say your name is Emily.
Yeah.
Me and my dad.
Sure.
Me and my dad.
Smellany.
We get
Smellany.
We get a estimate for the car, and it's probably like $1,800 because I think the door was damaged, whatever.
Yeah.
Nissan 240SX convertible. That was cool. And so it was bright pink with sparkles. I'm not even kidding. I got a custom paint job. But so I went to the mall and I went to the candle store and I was like, hello. And they're like, hello, can we help you? Candle. I'm like, no. By the way, I don't like being in the candle store. It overwhelms my senses. And so I said, I'm here to talk to Emily. Doesn't Emily work here?
Smellany.
Smellany, yes.
Yeah.
Does Smellany work here? And they were like, and I was like, and my dad was with me. And I'm like, she backed into my car at Friendly's and she just didn't want to get the insurance involved. So I'm here. Do you know when she's going to work? Or, she's not here. Do you know when she's going to work? And they go, she moved to Japan. She goes,
she moved to Japan.
And they go,
and this is not a sitcom that you're in.
I go, what? And she's like, yeah. She's like, she didn't, she, with her husband, who is Japanese, they went to Japan for their wedding and she's staying in Japan. She put in her 2 weeks, like a while ago, and she left like yesterday.
Wow.
And I'm like, and the thing is, I don't know if she was like, fuck this kid, I'm going to Japan.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember if the car accident happened on like a Saturday and I went in on like a Thursday and she thought I'd come in before that.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It could have been the next day. I don't know.
I feel like she would have said, make sure you come in before this date because I am moving out of the country entirely.
Yeah, that's my thought. Because at first I was like, maybe it's an accident. And I'm like, she probably should have told me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, so my dad was not happy.
Yeah.
And I never let anyone do that to me again with the insurance,
Good.
thing.
And when you walked out, you grabbed a votive candle and you were like, and I'm taking this with me.
I'm like, all right, we got to get $1,800 worth of candles. How much are they? And I look and I'm like, all right, $13. Let's see.
What about the triple wick ones?
Yeah.
Go for the triple wicks. Go for the trip wicks. Trip wicks, Dad!
Well, Smellany, if you're a fun bear, and let's face it, you probably are, send us an email and apologize to Chuck. Send him $1,800 care of the podcast. Just
candles.
Just address it to me and Ray.
Yeah. Well, we
And if you live in Japan, I mean, honor. You've
Kiri?
No, that is not how you say it. Those words.
How do you say it?
You say, I believe it's just Harry Carey, right?
That's how it was
that's
pronounced
Will
for me.
Hare Kare?
I don't know.
Karaoke?
Karaoke, empty orchestra.
Harry Karaoke.
It's not Kiri, it's Carrie?
I don't know.
Harry Carey?
I thought it was HARIKIRI.
I think
Yes.
it is not our place to figure that out.
Well, it's just a Japanese word. It's like
I just realized all three of us, for a split second, we're all saying versions of it. And it's
not all three of us.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Brad.
Yeah,
You're
thank
complicit.
you can be like, oh, how do you say enchilada? Enchilada? No, it's enchilada. That's okay. It's the same.
Yeah. All right.
Right?
Yeah, but when Chuck does it with the accent, the
That's what it
hat.
started
Did I do an
Yeah.
accent?
No.
No. It's well, I did.
I was
went
making a joke.
I said like hottie cottie.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want to do that anymore.
I don't know, but
Can I just say this
Yeah.
really quickly about the mall? Let's
Yeah.
pivot back to safety there.
The reason I thought of it is because in your story, the person
Yeah.
is moving away.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's what made me think.
No,
of it.
I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also realized this when we're talking about the dying mall, right?
Yeah.
I realized it can also be a situation where a limb is
Ooh.
withering
Yeah, it needs to be pruned.
and needs to be amputated. Because often, as a mall does die,
Yes.
it seems like one section of it starts to show those signs before the rest, right? Like maybe you've got some anchor stores around a certain area, and then the food court area has got its stuff going on.
Yeah.
But then there's like that one offshoot
Yeah.
that goes down, and maybe like that one store that was down there,
Yeah.
that closes, and then all the stuff starts to fall away.
Yeah.
And I do think you can see like, oh, the limb of this mall, like this mall's left leg.
Yep.
It's got to go cut it off now, or it's going to take the whole thing with it.
I think the confusing mall that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the worst mall to die because it's like if the dead part is the confusing part.
Yeah.
That's a ghost town.
Oh, yeah.
No one's
Yeah.
going over there.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's no solution
Yep.
for the mall when it dies now. There is
Well,
no solution.
I heard a really interesting thing that's kind of cool. I remember the Swansea Mall that I was just talking about.
Yeah.
So basically, they closed that like a while ago, and the idea from the town was to turn it into a huge senior citizen center so that people could live there, but also have a big place to walk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Sure,
for people who want to have community and stuff.
I've always thought that repurposing them as a like maybe low income housing or something like that. I know that
Right.
sounds shitty, like you're compartmentalizing, but I think there's a level of like being able to build in community stuff there as well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I think so too. I think that's
Yeah,
great.
like you can have like a daycare center there. You can have a medical office
Exactly.
there. You can have all these
Post
things.
office, yeah.
You know, and I think that would be cool. The only problem is it's an island in and of itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is, I think in the Warwick Mall or the Rhode Island Mall, whatever it is, I think they did have the DMV of the town in that mall.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
it's not Warwick. Maybe it's the Rhode Island Mall in Warwick.
Now let me ask you this: what would you say, if you can think of one, would be like the signifier of like this is the coughing into a handkerchief, pulling it down, and there's
Oh.
blood.
Of
This
the
is the
mall?
sign that things are going. Because I have mine as a theory of what it is. Like what comes into the mall. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
what
the
shows
store?
up where you're like, no, I think it's going.
Well, can I ask I'll pose a quick question before we
Sure.
get into this. Do you think that when like Jim's PC Repairs goes into the mall, that's a telltale sign that they need people and they're lowering the cost of being in the mall?
That's a good one. Yeah, yeah.
Is that like a thing?
possible.
I don't know. Or do you
Also-
think that Jim's PC Repairs is like, yeah, I can pay as much as FYE or whatever?
I think it's lower for sure. And I
Yeah.
think a major issue with Jim's PC repair that I have is it's
Yeah.
like, it's not what you think. He doesn't do anything with computers. He's just super anti-woke.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's weird.
Exactly.
And it's like a brainwashing thing.
It's like a gay camp, like a gay trans.
yeah, pray the
Yeah.
gay away. Only you go there and you get anti-woked. You
Yeah,
know
if
what I
you're
mean?
too woke,
yeah,
go there. Yeah.
It's very weird.
I send Brad there.
Yeah, but there's those things. Those things show up where it's like you hear a lot
He
of
tried
like,
to commit harikiri.
we're turning it into a community thing. And
Yes.
like at the Fox Run now, it's like there's a dance studio, there's a jujitsu studio, there's all these little things, and I think that is a good signifier. My own personal theory: when a church goes in, that's my sign where it's like this place is not gonna make it. And my theory is because a church is like, so if it were a thriving mall,
Yeah.
way too expensive to be in there.
Yep.
And I think would be the wrong surroundings for a church. I think someone starting that church would probably be like, I don't think it should be here. You know what I mean? The Victoria's Secret's right down there, and the Spencer Gifts is across the way, and all this other stuff.
Churches are
You know?
weird.
You gotta meet people where they're at, right?
right.
So our band practice space,
At the mall in 2000.
which is this is kind of fun. I don't know if Ray really knows this. So for a long time, Senior Discount's band practice space.
Yeah.
You know the show The Office, obviously.
Huh?
You
What is
know-
that?
You know, like the big middle area with all the cubicles.
Of like an office building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if all the cubicles were gone and it was just a giant empty floor.
And this is what the show The Office was about?
So imagine if all the cubicles were gone, right?
I already know this. Yeah. Yeah. And you
on-
had that. Yeah.
And all the side
Yeah,
offices.
because you guys had that deal with the mill building.
So no, it was just an office building that was that.
Sorry, not
basically-
mill building. Yeah.
It was basically, I guess, a huge company had gone there, and they had left.
Yeah.
But there was no one that could pay the real rent of that because it's very big. It was
Yeah.
also it's that big thing, and then think of like Michael Scott's office, the meeting room, all that stuff.
Who's Michael Scott?
And so it's just so big that I
Yeah.
guess the rent would be like, let's say, $4,000 a month or something.
Right.
And there was no company that was going to move there. So we talked to them and we're like, what if we pay you $120 a month
U.S.
and you let us use this as our band practice space? And they were like, fine. And so that was our practice space for like a year and a half.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was crazy because we had this wide open space, which is obviously where we put all our equipment. And then we had a video game room with a ton of TVs and couches. Christian had his own drum room with all his cymbals and all his different drum set stuff. And we had the lickable wallpaper room. Remember that?
I do. It's where we've recorded the first 100 or so episodes of the Chuck and Brad podcast.
Oh
Yeah.
wow! So that building's haunted.
It is now.
Yeah.
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 So that's right. We had a recording studio.
Yeah, we had a portal to hell in one room.
We made a portal to hell, like with like a pentagram and all candles.
Jesus.
They showed it.
It was we,
The
we
real
did,
estate agents
we
just
did
like-
it we did it for a video.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like the idea of like this is the practice space, this is this room, the lickable wallpaper room, and then it's
Portal
like
to hell. Yeah.
well, and then
yeah.
it was like all wallpaper is lickable if you think about it. And then they opened it and it was like, oh, this is the portal to hell. And it's a like masking tape pentagram with some candles on it.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't masking tape. It was red duct tape.
Yeah.
It was you could see it. Okay.
Very important detail.
yeah.
so
Vital.
well, but masking tape sounds like you could barely even see it. You know what I mean? Like masking tape is like light white. It's like it was red. And in the video, the joke is that we're showing one of our band members the whole place, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "This is a portal out." We open it, and it just shows on the ground. I go, "It's more impressive when it's turned on."
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's fun.
That's fun.
Yeah.
But the actual guy who owned it, like part of the agreement was, I'm going to charge you $120 a month, but I am going to show it to real clients that might be able to actually move in.
Sure.
And if they move in, you have to move out. And we said, okay, thank you. And one day he showed it. He didn't tell us. And so we left the portal to hell up, you know? It's seriously a whole room that's a circle as big as the room with candles and an upside down pentagram.
Yeah.
And he called me. He's like, hey, I showed the clients. And I was like, dicks. I was like, oh yeah, that's all normal stuff, right, buddy? He goes, yeah, you guys aren't lighting candles in there, are you? And I was like, no. He didn't even mention the actual
Yeah.
pentagram.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You know why? He's too PC.
And the
He needs
reason
to go to gyms.
The reason I bring it up, the senior discount practice space became,
A church.
and now it's
Yeah.
a church in that office building.
Yeah.
I've never been inside. Like I don't know
Yeah.
what they did with it, but it was.
I looked at photos when I was church shopping a few years back.
It was clearly like you walk in and there's a receptionist desk with a, whatever, like built in, and a big wall, and
Yeah.
they kind of buzz you through or whatever like that. So I don't know how they set it up, but yeah, that became a church, and the Swansea Mall.
Yeah.
As soon as it closed, the biggest anchor store, which was Macy's before, I believe, or JCPenney, Macy's, I think
Yeah.
it was, became a church too. So
Yeah,
that's a church
yeah.
in Swansea.
Yeah. So
I've never seen a
it
church
is-
in a mall that is currently in business though.
There was one at the Fox Run
Yeah.
when I was just there, and I have seen them in other malls pop up for sure. Yeah.
By the way,
It's-
Macy's is supposed to be leaving the big Providence Place Mall.
that's right, because Providence Place is like bankrupt.
See, it's one of those things where I'm like, you were asking me about like what is a telltale?
Yeah.
I was gonna say when an anchor store gets taken over by a store you've never heard of.
Yes.
But then I realized I'm like that might just be regional ignorance because
Right.
like when Boscov's came into
Oh,
the
yeah,
Providence
yeah.
Place Mall, I was like Boscov's, but I think it's a thing.
It is, yeah. It's
a
like
thing.
the Midwest. There's a ton
something
of them.
like
Yeah.
that.
But it is an interesting idea. I think like the food court becomes a place with a bunch of just independent places.
Wow.
But are
Jim's PC repair is in the food court.
yeah. But it's also like it.
Brad's eating computer chips.
It's
all they had. It's all they had without sauce on it.
But it is a weird thing because you'll see like a food court store or restaurant. It's not even a restaurant. What is this? It's a section.
Yeah.
that'll go away, and it'll be something obvious like a Taco Bell. The Taco Bell is no longer there.
Right.
Yeah.
Now there's this new place, and sometimes it is fun because it'll turn into one of those independent places, but it's still the same food items.
Yes.
Like it's Taco Bell's gone, but now it's like
It's Taco Jim's.
yeah, it's Taco Jim's.
PC tacos.
PC repair and gorditas sold here.
Jim is busy.
But it is weird because I'll see those food court places.
Is this a bear one?
I'll see those food court places.
Solder gun.
I'm just gonna drink my coffee.
Do that. You'll see the food court places where an independent pizza place has replaced a Sparrow.
Right,
For example.
and often those places, it's like I don't want to eat there. You know what I mean? Like it seems suspect. It's
Depends,
it's
yeah.
very fishy.
I know what you mean.
I
Yeah.
will eat there.
I love independent pizza places.
Well, listen, I support. It's not just pizza though. It's like random shit.
I know, it
and
depends.
like I support local. I like the idea of local and independent and not doing chain. But you put it in a food court, and I'm like, I don't trust this. I don't know what it is.
I think you got to take a peek at that food. That's what I say.
I think when I see the food, I'm like, no, I don't want that. No, thank you. And also, the dead-eyed people behind the counter do not help it. Because they know where they work.
Yep.
They know where they work.
This is such a funny group of people to generalize, but I agree.
Yeah.
I feel bad about it.
I get
but
it.
I do agree.
How I wouldn't look fucking thrilled if I was in a dying fucking place and just showing up like, yep, I work here. It is an odd thing.
It sucks because I love them all. I mean, I know we've talked about it, but I
Yeah.
really love them all.
Of course.
I think my telltale, because like I said, the regional ignorance is a thing where it's like I don't know. Boscov's originally struck me as that, but then I was like, no, I'm wrong about that. I think maybe the idea of the whole thing being replaced with independent stores and eateries, maybe that is the telltale. Maybe that's the biggest one. Because
Yeah.
it means that they must have lowered enough, I guess.
Well,
It's tough because we want to support independent places.
This is the issue.
And if it's an like standalone brick and mortar Jim's PC repair, I'm like happy to come. But if it's in a mall, it feels different. Same gym,
Yeah.
same quality
Can
of
I-
PC repairs.
I'll give you an exception, but go ahead, you guys.
Here's my working theory with that is that because often those stores that we have seen, right, are a signal of the decline because most of them are extremely temporary. Even the ones that are there are gone fairly quickly. And you get to a place where you're like, this feels like a business of opportunity, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, we've got it, and it's a super cheap rent, and I guess we can go in. Like, it wasn't going to last. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's equivalent to like in the town where I live, there is one one location that's on at an intersection, like a T intersection, and it's been there since I moved to the area. This one like restaurant place, and it changes like every year. Another
Yeah.
restaurant,
I know.
and you just get to a point where you're like, it's a cursed location. It won't last, and therefore, anytime one of those does go in, and I'm like, ooh, that sound. No, I'm not going to eat there because I just. It's shitty, but it's like I don't think that's going to be there for long, and I don't know how much are they struggling right now. You know what I mean?
There's a curse location very close to here that had two places I really liked in a row. It was Rebecca and Plaza Azteca. It's where the TGI Fridays. It's near where the TGI Fridays is in Seekonk. There's just a location where you're not allowed to make a left turn from the lane that's going past it. So you have to go down wicked far,
Right.
make a U-turn, and come and turn into it from the other way. And I think when I was a kid, it might have been like Spaghetti Warehouse, and then it became something else, and then it became Buca de Beppo, and then it became this. And it changed at least 5 times since I was a kid. Now it's closed.
Yeah.
And the TGI Fridays next to it is closed, and the Not Your Average Joe's next to that is closed.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Take that,
dicks.
Seekonk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we're in a utopia of corporate embodiment. Isn't it wonderful?
But we
what
and
the
Brad-
capitalism gives us.
Me and Brad try to like. I know this is true. It's gonna sound funny, but like we drive past a new independent like taco shop or donut place. We try to go to support people doing a new business.
Sure, of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
And so there was one actually right over there where the Sip and Dip was.
Yep.
And it was like Two Brothers Donuts, and I was like, we gotta help these brothers.
Their logo's weird.
Yeah.
It's a donut on its. You can only see the side of the donut.
Yeah. You can tell
And
it's a donut
the two
sprinkles, yeah.
brothers.
Yep.
I know what they're doing.
It's weird.
It looks like they're doing that, and then I asked them, and they said they are doing that.
Yeah.
But my question is like, but how? Because
It's
that's
just a
very
donut.
That's
Well, it's-
not,
it's-
there's
it's-
not a depth.
So,
there.
well, and then we look and like one of the brothers has like spiky black hair and glasses and a neatly trimmed
Oh,
beard.
that's right,
And
yes.
I'm like, let's not look at the other side.
Well,
my
and
hair
we're
black?
we're failing to recognize the full name of the place. It was the Chode Brothers Donut Shop.
Chode Brothers.
Chode Brothers.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. Oh, speaking of donuts, on this trip with Finn,
I do have my exception from the thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
My exception is like there's in the Warwick Mall, the Toy Vault has just been there forever in this huge storefront.
Yeah.
And it's super professional and really, really nice. And I
Yeah.
mean, that place has like, I think they have like 6 locations. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's an
that's
actual,
different.
it's a regional
Yeah.
business that's doing really well and can hang.
Well,
in
there
that
are
space.
versions of like a local kind of business, an independent
Right.
business that is I don't know. It's one of those
I-
things. It's like the
I
Supreme
agree.
Court with pornography. I know it when I see it.
Yeah.
You just get a sense, and you're like, this is not
I
gonna
know.
live.
You know what I think it is? I think one of the telltales is like how hastily put together their sign looks,
Sure.
or their setup in the actual
yeah.
store.
Or if it's like a huge store and they have enough product for like a third of the size
Yep.
of that
Yeah,
store, but it's
yeah.
just weirdly spread out, and you're like,
Yes.
you have one clothing rack thing for this whole space, and it's just like, I don't trust it.
That
I'm
was
sorry.
that was the Colorado Mall.
Yeah.
All the independent places. It was like way too little product for the size of store that they have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, super interesting.
It's
yeah.
tough.
Yeah, I mean, R.I.P. the mall. We're gonna miss you.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
I do think one of the things I think is strange about like, things like Takeover, like in Stranger Things, I think season 4, season 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole thing about like, the mall's coming, so the town is dying. I do find it strange that the mall is going away because that is the corporate takeover, but I guess it's just the big box stores are taking over everything. Is that it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the mall became the new Main Street
Yes,
downtown
right,
thing,
right.
right?
Exactly.
But it had a good run, and and yes, you could argue that was itself kind of eating a section of the community,
Right.
Yeah.
But then you get the advent of the big box with like Walmart and the spread of that and all of the horrific shit that does. And then on top of that, you get to internet existing. And then it's like, okay, now we've winnowed away so much.
Yeah.
And oddly, because the mall was always located where space was available, it's always away from like main thoroughfare kind of areas.
It was
feels like
it was destination travel.
right.
Yeah.
And then once that goes away, there's
Yeah.
like a tipping point. Once a mall loses like it is very interesting. I think
like
every
draw.
mall's
It's like
different.
a draw.
Yeah, and it's like you can lose this, okay, you can lose this, okay, we're doing fine. But it's like there's that one more Jenga piece that goes.
Yeah.
You know what might have been a key Jenga piece? The media aspect of movies and music. And like that going 100%.
Oh, you
to
mean
streaming.
physical media?
Yeah, physical media.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it,
Sure.
before that, I bet that music stores and video stores might have been like towards the top of the top grossers and drawers of a mall.
Absolutely.
That's really interesting. And books. That's another one.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, all I cared about in the mall was going to music stores, video stores, and bookstores.
Yeah.
And video games. I guess video
and
games.
Spencer's. You
Yeah.
got to go
And
to
Spencer's
Spencer's.
just to
we
look at
stopped
the
it.
weird stuff
Come
and
on.
be titillated.
You got to see it.
Look, I mean, with malls dying, we've all played Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and we all know what every mall should now become.
Yeah, it's damn
That
true.
is fair. You know what? Combine that with the elderly housing we were talking about
There we
earlier.
go.
Man.
You know, I want to shred with Nana.
Yep.
I'm going to say it. I'm gonna say it.
Ray.
I think.
Okay. Ow.
Pussy.
Nana, fuck you.
So
Nana's a real bitch, man.
is the Rhode Island Mall is in Warwick.
Yeah.
Is that mall closed or is it open?
It's open.
Is it?
Oh, you
Not
mean
the Warwick
not the
Mall.
regular one, the other one.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
If
'Cause
we
it's
could
just,
sneak into a closed mall, would you do an episode in a closed mall?
Yeah, 100%. I just want to walk around it.
You know what? Give me plausible deniability.
Brad thought it was open.
Yeah. I thought it was a walking tour.
Another closed door. Weird.
Yeah, maybe we can do it around Halloween because it is haunted. It's the idea of a corpse. It's a zombie.
It is scary.
I think we're gonna run into tweakers.
I mean,
on their skateboards.
That's fine.
Tweakers.
That's fine. And they're going to be dressed so weird, and we're going to have to wait for 4 slightly green-looking, bulky men to show up in overcoats to save our lives.
You get it.
And they're all named after artists from Italian history.
You get it.
Yeah. No, that is fun though. I like that idea. Oh yeah. So you're gonna appreciate this. You mentioned donuts.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So Finn and I, we went to York, Maine, and we stayed in Portsmouth. We did some Kittery stuff. We did some York. It's my childhood area. That was fun. And Finn had a really good time, and it was a fun trip together, right?
Yeah.
And it was funny because he was always like, he didn't think I was going to wake up in time to do stuff, like, because I have a later schedule, right?
Yes.
And it is, he's 10 years old, and for sure, like, early hours of the morning, Kalina is like, that's his person, right?
Give me a little picture of a 10-year-old in terms of like how
No,
early do they get up?
sick fuck.
How early do they get up?
Little
Though?
picture.
Finn is an early guy. He gets up at like anywhere from like 5:30 to 6 is usually like that window.
5:30?
Yeah, it's not fun, dude.
What does he do? Play video games or something?
He's always out with the gun. He's always out with the gun. No, he just
He
that's
spoke
when he
in
wakes
class
up.
today.
My cousin Michael basically would like wake up and play video games.
Yeah.
And I remember staying over his house when I was a kid. He'd wake up at like 5 in the morning and go like, "Mom, Dad," like he'd be in his bed.
Yeah.
Like, "Can I get up yet?" And they're like, "No, Michael, go back and sleep."
Yeah.
He's like, "Okay." And then like 10 minutes later he goes, "Mom,
Yeah.
can I wake up?" And I was like, "This kid's a lunatic."
No, we've had
this
to
is
have
crazy.
that conversation with Finn, when he was a little bit younger, of like, even if you wake up at, like, the reason a clock went in his room for the first time was like, you look at that clock, if it doesn't say 5:30, you gotta stay. You gotta stay. It's crazy. Yeah. So I was with him. We were doing our thing, and I was prepped, dude. Like I went to bed. I got up at 7.
That's early.
Yeah, and he was fine. He was like, "I'm going to hang out for an hour. Who cares?"
Yep.
But so we were driving to York Beach, and we pass a place called Lovebirds Donuts. And
I would love to try that.
Yeah, and I see on the sign it says like, homemade, handcrafted donuts, whatever. And I'm like, handcrafted donuts? Oh. And I turn, and Finn's like, "What are you doing?" And I looked at him, and I went, "I never have the chance to do this."
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not up early enough for like the donut place that sells out at 11 a.m. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we went, no joke, Lovebird Donuts.
Woo-wee!
So good. On Route 1 between Kittery and York. I highly recommend it. It was so good. It was the kind of place where you walk in and they have like a display case right by the door. And I don't mean like that deli style curved glass. Not that kind of display case. This was like almost like you're going into like an ornate Apple store.
Wow.
Like it was just this case, custom made case.
Yeah.
And it had glass on the top.
Yeah.
Like a jewelry store almost, right?
Yeah.
And inside, inside was just individual examples of the donuts that were available that day.
Yeah.
And a little sticker on the top of the glass that said what it was.
Yeah.
And then like 3 of them already have little sold out stickers on them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they were so good.
Give me some of these nuts. What you got?
That's disgusting. By the way, you said what you got twice, and it was like, this is a white kid doing a rap in a movie from 1991, right? This is
In the mall.
What is that movie called? Teen Witch?
Teen Witch.
There's a Teen Angel. There's a Teen...
I think there's Teen Witch.
Teen Witch might have been a
it's-
TV show.
No, that's Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I think Teen Witch was a 80s movie, and there is a famous rap moment in that where like
Interesting.
the
Teen Witch,
girl,
Teen Wolf.
the girl's a teen witch. And viewer, listener, if you know this movie that I'm talking about, please write in and prove that I'm not insane. But yeah, she's a teen witch, and she's got a crush on the jock boy, and the jock boy and his best friend are hanging out by their car, and they're like fucking dancing to hip hop in like 1985 or something.
Good.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
And then they have she does some magic, and they do a whole like hip hop dance rap battle.
I'd like to see Teen Witch now.
And I think it's like What You Know About That or something like that. And it's bad. It's very bad, but it made me think of that.
Yeah.
Lovebirds Donuts, so good. You wanted to know what we got.
Yeah.
I went with an old fashioned
Okay.
Okay.
because
What kind of old fashioned?
like the old like a plain. Just,
Okay.
just
Yeah,
an
cake.
original
Yeah.
like OG donut, right?
Yeah.
An undressed old
Yeah.
fashioned. That to me is like, this will tell me how good the place is.
Yeah.
This base level
Sure.
thing. Finn got which is just sort of a classic chocolate one. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
it's a glazed donut dipped with the chocolate, right?
Yeah.
But it was chocolate ganache,
It's probably brioche.
and then it had sprinkles on it.
Yeah.
I got a blueberry fritter.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
And it, Maine blueberries and all that stuff, and it was so good. And that old fashioned is the one where I'm like, yeah, because the dough is like thicker, it's more substantial. So good, so good. Lovebirds Donuts, and then when we were at York Beach,
Yeah.
there was a cafe, and it even said there like donuts by
provided. Yeah.
by Lovebirds.
That's
So they're
great.
great. Lovebirds, if you're a viewer listener, if you're a fun bear, a
Yes.
fun bird. Now we're 70s English guys.
Yeah.
You're a fun bird. But no, we love you, and send us donuts so these two schmucks can try them. They got to
True.
try
I'm not
'em.
allowed in the state of Maine.
I'll
so-
tell you, the best
Yeah.
donuts I ever had, it's Need Donuts in Providence.
Mm.
And their donut that I love is an old-fashioned chocolate chip donut.
Mm.
And one part of it, like a little part of it, maybe I'd call it 15%, is dipped in white chocolate.
Yeah.
And they are unbelievable. My friend Laura Perella went to the Culinary Institute of America in New York. It's the CIA. I never say CIA because it sounds like it's a different thing.
Yeah.
And she's like very...
She was deeply involved in 9/11, though.
Yeah.
She was, but from a baking standpoint.
Yes.
So
she had to figure out how hot they got it to melt those steel beams.
Yes, but her standards
Sorry.
are very, very, very high.
Yeah.
You take that as to mean whatever you think.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little tough to please, and she's like, "There's no donuts like Need." Like she comes back
Yeah.
from Texas, and she's like, "This is the main thing we're doing is going to Need donuts." It's
Well,
fucking
I
awesome.
think next time we record, one of you has to bring Need Donuts.
Oh,
and introduce
Chuck
them
will
to
do
me.
it.
I think you'll really love them.
Yeah.
I think one time I actually offered to bring you and your family Need donuts,
Hmm.
and you were like, "Right now we're trying to be cool about like sweets and treats with
Yeah.
Finn," and so I was like,
Yeah,
"All right,
yeah, yeah.
but someday." You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely.
Yeah, no,
For sure.
They have a peanut butter and jelly donut too. That is,
It's so great.
It's
Oh,
great.
speaking of food stuff, I think this is a fun moment. It was a very fun father moment for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're just sort of going train
Yep.
of thought here. When we were in York, it was a really fun day. Right, we started the day super early, right, like I said, and it was super foggy. We got down to York, got in the water. The fog cleared. I got to take him. Oh, I'll get to that in a second. So there was a pizza place, and we got they were just by the slice.
Yep.
And we got 2 slices, one for him, one for me, for lunch. And it was like, okay, that's
All right.
perfect, right? It worked out perfectly, and it's regular like New York style pizza. A nice big slice.
Yep.
And he gets the slice, and we're standing outside, and we're going to eat our slices of pizza, and then we're heading to the Goldenrod, right?
Yeah.
Right.
A candy soda fountain place. And Finn looks at the pizza, and he's like, "How am I supposed to hold this?" Right? Because we're not at a table,
Right.
Yeah.
And it's big New York slice, and I
You
was
taught
like,
him about the fold.
yeah, I was like, "Oh, buddy, you got to fold it." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, watch." And I did the fold of the crust, and he's like, "Okay." And he did it, and it was totally fine. And
Yep.
it was such a fun, like,
Oh,
father-son
yeah. That's
great.
moment where I'm like, "That's now the fold."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we went to Goldenrod.
Yeah.
Update on Goldenrod. We went in, and as of this recording, the last time we were recording was for the Boy Crimes episode,
Yes.
Yeah.
where I was hoisted on my own petard
You sure were.
about some peanut brittle.
Yeah.
I can't believe at 41 years old, in 2024, peanut brittle has played a kind of sizable portion of my life. This is nuts. Is what I said to them when they handed me the brittle.
Right.
Yeah.
This is nuts. So we went, and I told Finn about my adventure.
Yeah.
I told him that I had
Yeah.
stolen this
Yep.
this brittle.
Yeah.
But as a very fatherly, like, don't
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And so we got the brittle, and I paid for it. And then we had a little bit of it, and that was fun.
Yep.
That was a really fun moment. We got some taffy. We did the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I would say the entire time we were waiting to pay and do all this stuff, because it was very busy there, I was genuinely in my head going, I mean, it would be really funny if I stole this peanut brittle.
It would be
No,
funny.
It would be really
Of course.
funny
Are you
if I
kidding
stole
me?
it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
course.
So I didn't steal it.
Hey, Finn.
Yeah. Open your pants. We're gonna put the brittle in.
Look in your hood.
Yeah.
Was that Bam Margera for a
I
second?
know.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, it's mischievous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How was the trip with your father up to York, Maine? It was good. I don't know why he brought a pillowcase to the Goldenrod. Just taking it all.
I'm a brittle mule.
Oh, we do for peanut brittle what like those videos that go viral of like like one of those roving gangs that goes in and like steals all the coach purses.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But it's just me and Finn doing that with peanut brittle,
Yeah.
right? And there's people there. We're not hurting anybody,
Yeah.
but we're taking the brittle. We're taking the brittle.
Yeah, yeah.
I ripped brittle right out of a woman's hands.
Yep. That's fair.
But no, it was a lot of fun. And then we got to do. I wanted to tell you guys this. This
Yeah.
was
Okay.
so fun. At Short Sands Beach in York, there's an arcade called Funbearable.
Ooh,
I like a fun- I like a
that
Yeah.
sounds fun.
Can we say this? Let's agree with this on the podcast. Any store name that ends with Orama, 5 out of 5 stars.
No.
I will say there are exceptions to the rule for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's exceptions. 0 exceptions.
Nope. But this place has been around since I was like a kid
Yep.
going there, and well before that, right? It used to be the boardwalk, but now it's not. It's just this area. And we went, dropped $10 in quarters, you
Yeah.
know, and it was a lot of fun. It's like they've got old games. They had games there that were old when I was a kid going
Yeah.
there, and they're still there. And they've incorporated some new stuff, but
You
it's
mean like arcade games? Like just
Yeah.
like side scrollers and shoot and like light gun games?
Yeah, yeah, and pinball machines,
Yeah,
skee
yes.
ball, like
Yeah.
all the things are there. Like plenty of shooting gallery games and stuff like that. And it was so cool to go there. And I was talking to Finn about it. I'm like, yeah, I was here 3rd and 4th grade. I would ride my bike down to the beach.
Hell yeah.
And I'm like, if I had $1, I'd spend an hour at Funarama.
Yeah.
If I had no money, I'd spend an hour at Funarama.
That's
and
true.
you just
Oh, yeah.
did that stuff.
I love it.
But here's the really special part. So we played some of the games that were there from back in my youth, right?
Yep.
We did the skee ball. We did all these other things. And I round a corner, and there is a game that if you had asked me ahead of time, what's the game that you loved there? I would never have thought of this game.
Okay.
But when I saw it, I had the biggest, like, the revelation of, like, this repressed memory.
Yeah.
There was a game that was new when I got there, like, or maybe one summer it showed up,
Yep.
and it was new, and it was the most important game in that whole place. And I would go there. I dumped so many quarters into this game. I loved it so much. And I'm standing there a couple of days ago looking at that same game 31 years later.
Aerosmith, Revolution X.
No, no.
That's a good game.
That is, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It was Silent Scope EX.
Yeah, I
Ooh,
love those games. I
Yeah.
love those ones where you look through the thing and it zooms in on the screen.
Yes.
That's so
it's
fun.
it's a gun game,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
But it's mounted similar to like the Terminator 2 game that was out,
I
right?
love that
that
game.
was a huge game. But this is a big sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And then you have the screen.
Yep.
But then when you look through the scope of the sniper rifle, there's a little monitor inside the scope that
Yeah.
shows you the zoomed in view.
Yeah.
I dumped so many quarters into that game, and it was so wild to stand there, like I said, 31 years later,
Yeah.
and be like, that's the game, that's the same one.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing's beat to shit now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But I played it, and it was like, this is crazy to me. And then Finn tried it, and I'm like, this is wild.
Yeah.
It really is kind of cool. It was
awesome.
such a special memory.
That's awesome.
Like the top scores are still there, and Ray,
Come on. Yeah, Ray.
is 2 through 10, but somebody else.
No, there
is,
was always LHO was like the top
Yeah.
5 top spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is that?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Could
And
be
then
anyone.
This guy, Mr. Oswald,
Yeah.
came. And he's like, that's me. I'm the high scorer. You can call me Lee. But my point was this.
Yeah.
It was so crazy to see it and play it because back then, genuinely, I think I had the daydream of like, when I grow up, I'm gonna be rich and I'm gonna have my own silent scope in my house.
Oh, yeah.
And I won't have to pay any quarters ever. And it was so crazy. It was a blast to see that again. It was really fun.
I mean, I think about the games I played when I was a kid. Like you would get a stick and roll a hoop with it.
Weren't you not
I thought you
allowed to play
invented that game.
games because they were of the devil?
Yeah, that was.
Mine was that he invented it.
Yeah.
That he wasn't even.
That was I could play it only on Saturdays.
Ah, okay.
But if I and it had to be burned every Sunday.
Oh, so you have to remake it
Get a
every
new
time.
hoop and a stick,
Real,
yeah.
real pain in the ass.
I in my apartment in New York, I do have the Simpsons arcade machine, and I have an
Yeah.
NBA Jam as well. But I got that one only because it was on clearance for like $150, and I was like, I think I'll be able to figure out how to mod this and put other games on it. But I'm going to do that with the Simpsons one.
Yeah.
But
So fun though. It
I love,
really was.
I love that stuff. One year for Brad's birthday, I'm sure Ray doesn't know about this. I gave him like a card, and I was like, "Oh, here are your presents," and it was all folded up pieces of paper.
Yeah.
And the first piece of paper was this new Aliens light gun game, and I'm like, this coupon entitles you to one full playthrough of this Aliens light gun game. Next paper, this entitles you to the new House of Dead, and it was all these newer arcade games. And It
Yeah.
was like 7 of them, and
Yeah.
we just went to an arcade one day, and we stayed there all day until we beat
Yeah,
all
that's
of
great.
these.
I had
That's
the
great.
worst headache by the end
Oh
of it.
yeah, yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
I was so sick.
Oh no. Well, it was all that candy from the tickets that you won.
So I'm like, how many tickets for the peanut brittle? And they're like, it's free, man.
No, they were like
Just take it.
190,000. He's like, I was 10. So
One eraser, please. And you look. If I look at the brittle and I eat the eraser,
Yeah.
it'll be the same. That is so. And to circle it back to the mall.
Yes.
When we went to the mall the next day, we walk in and we went through the food court area, right? Because that
Yeah.
was like the main entrance. The rest of it looked like it was closed.
Yeah.
But we went in, and when you go in there at the Fox Run, on the right, there used to be an arcade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's gone now. But I was like, yeah, that was the arcade. It was called the Dream Machine, which is a perfect arcade name.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just a similar thing there. I had my birthday.
Oh.
Like
Yeah.
I think like 5th grade.
Yeah.
My birthday was because they used to do that, and
Yep.
it was that awesome thing of like, if you are a birthday, if you're the birthday boy or girl, and you have your birthday party,
Yeah.
everybody has like a bracelet,
Yep.
and then it's quarters. It's just
Yeah, it's
quarters,
just- yep.
quarters,
Oh,
tokens. It was
fuck yeah.
tokens, but like, oh man, I wish I still had a Dream Machine token. That was
Yeah.
fun.
We had Aladdin's Castle. We went there for Charles Kruger's birthday
Yeah.
in 5th grade. I know. Yes, he has a last name that's shared with a fictional character.
I think Aladdin's Castle was like a chain.
Yeah.
Do you ever have dreams about this, Charles Kruger?
No, I'll tell you what.
Chucky Kruger?
He has dreams about me.
I will
you
say-
could out Kruger.
I will
you.
say he
Yeah.
does not have dreams about him, but Brad was burned alive for being a pedophile.
Allegedly.
So Charles does have dreams about Brad.
I got. It was after I got caught on my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
If I had,
One finger.
That's
two
just
fingers.
evidence, man.
if I had colored in the right color, that's why I had to
Yeah.
hire Chuck.
I'll tell you this much. If there was ever a fear that I had that you would become a serial killer, which
Yes.
it is a fear.
It's
Yeah.
a fear
I
for
think,
me.
yeah.
I've
Yeah,
been scared for a
I-
long
Let's say a
time.
low level.
I'd say like 45 to 49%.
Yeah, it's like a low hum.
and rising.
The only thing that gives me pause, that makes me feel a little better about it, is knowing you would catalog your own evidence. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I
there
can't
would-
even do boy crimes. I couldn't do man crimes. I'd feel too guilty.
That is fair. That is fair. I would love to have a Dream Machine token, though. And I just remembered that is a plot point in Deadpool 2, is having
yeah.
a token from an arcade.
Yep.
You know?
I
You just edited it.
I love arcades. I went to Colorado with Natalie. I went to Manitou Springs, and she's like, I want to take you to this arcade. And it's 4 buildings and a structure outside that doesn't have any walls. It's all outside. I'd say between the 4 buildings, which are all connected and in like a little walkway with an outdoor thing, I'd say maybe 250 arcade machines from like, and they also have historic stuff that was pre-arcade made out of wood.
Yeah.
That was like the games that people would play. They were equivalent in
And
like...
you found Brad's initials carved into one of those.
But it was like, you had like football and hockey and like weird stuff that like, it's not functional now, but that's what it originally was.
Yeah.
But I love arcades, and I think growing up, it became like a thing where I knew that I really loved like those 4-player beat 'em ups, the light gun games. I loved all that stuff so much. I think I was embarrassed for a long time that I liked that I had that as almost like, and as I got older, because when you're 10, you don't think of things as a hobby. You're just, you're just a kid. But when you're 25 and you're like, oh man, like I really love the Simpsons arcade game. I really love Turtles in Time, like all these different games. And now I think I've come around on just being like, I like those games.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's a fun way for friends to hang out and be social and stuff.
Yeah.
And the other day, me and Brad got together. We played the new Battletoads. And I don't know, Brad, you should probably tell people about the Twitch.
Yeah, we streamed it poorly on Twitch at Funbearable Pod, which subscribe to us on Twitch, and when we go live, you'll get a notification.
Brad played it a couple days before.
Yeah, I had done some Fallout and Journey to the Savage Planet and Celeste on Twitch, and then so Chuck, we were going to play Battletoads, and he's like, "Oh, let's try and stream it."
Yeah.
What we didn't know is that when you're playing couch co-op, it only takes audio from one microphone.
We're gonna figure it out.
So I'm in the background talking, and so you can barely hear me. And Chuck's like, "Yeah, I love beat 'em ups, and sometimes I'll do
And Chuck
this."
could actually hear that and knew, but he was like, "This sounds perfect."
Yes, he's like, "This is the mix I want."
But
it's the Chuck mix.
But I was gonna say, like, I really, for some reason, that has really solidified itself as like a part of my childhood.
Yeah.
And a thing that I just consistently really, really like. I know Bray's not gonna believe this. There's a thing that I've been working on as a project for several years.
Ray is going to believe it because it's insane.
That is so nerdy that I don't want to put it in public. I don't want to talk about it anywhere. I don't want to bring it up. But it has to do with my love of beat 'em ups and how much I love that kind of stuff. If we wanted to do like a 3-player beat 'em up night with the Funbearable guys, would you do it?
I mean, yeah, it's yes. The short answer is yes. The long answer is boring because it's just like, well, it depends on schedule stuff.
All right, 4 players, but Finn is our 4th player.
Oh, that would be really fun.
Only Finn can swear.
He could be Bart. I mean, if we're playing
maybe,
Simpsons,
maybe
he could play it. He would be great.
No, yeah, I don't know if I want him a part of this dynamic.
Well, I was gonna say it's not. I wouldn't.
I was being facetious.
No, I wasn't being facetious. I'm not saying do it as content. I'm saying actually playing the game.
All right.
Not like to Twitch stream or something.
Right,
I just
right.
meant in general.
Yeah, maybe.
How about a 3-player video game night, but it's me, you, and Finn?
Well, I was thinking about it because the Battletoads game was 3 players.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, it'd be fun if Ray was here and we were
Sure,
playing through it. Wart, Zip, Pimple, whatever their names are.
Yep.
But
these are all sex moves.
yeah. But yeah, it's a weird thing. I love that stuff. I
Yeah.
love light gun games. Oh man, I don't know.
And you know what? I'll say this. Let me throw this out to the viewer listener because we're getting close to wrap up here.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that's what we're pivoting to right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've had a lovely time reminiscing about malls, and it's really enjoyable, and the arcades
Yeah.
and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It just a really fun time. I thought of like 3 things, and they all collided in my head just now. Anyway, viewer listener, I'll tell you what is prime for arcades and malls, and that is boy crimes.
Yep, that's true.
So many boy crimes can happen in arcades and malls. So, viewer listener, if you have any boy crimes that you have maybe partaken of or witnessed or whatever in malls specifically, and then also arcades, please write us funbearablepod@gmail.com. Let us know because we've had a blast doing the boy crimes, so we're definitely going to do more.
Yes.
And of course, outside of boy crimes, we'd love to hear about your personal connection to the mall or to arcades. Yeah.
I would say in every like heist movie, how they get together and they plan the heist.
Yeah.
For boy crimes, that place where you do that is the arcade.
That's true.
For sure.
Oh,
where
I
you're
can
like,
see that, yeah.
hey, you know what we should do tomorrow night?
Right,
Or tonight,
right.
tonight. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
We go to the beach house. We go,
Steal the peanut brittle.
yeah. But yeah, no, I love that stuff. That's funny. That is really connected to that. That's definitely where that stuff comes from for sure.
And a special shout out to Ian Rice, one of our fun bears,
Yeah.
the man who did the hoisting.
Yeah.
Yep.
on my own petard at the Goldenrod.
Yeah.
It was very fun. Finn knew about that as well.
Good.
And it was very delightful.
Oh no, that was great. I love that. Yeah.
Well, we covered 0 of the topics we originally planned to, but we'll take
Yes.
it.
Oops.
Classic Fun Bear, tangent episode.
Yeah.
Funbearablepod@gmail.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube and or whatever podcast medium you use to get the podcast. Give us a rating. Just make us feel something in our hearts.
You can also just let us know. You could email it to us, your
Yeah.
rating, and be like, I'll give you this many out of, this many quarters in the fountain.
And I'll say this.
At the mall.
Yes, and I'll say if you have any beat 'em up suggestions that you think I might not know about, write in. And I will say, don't write in with Turtles in Time, Simpsons, X-Men. I know those, and I even know, I know Ninja Baseball, Batman, all that kind of stuff. Like, send in some deep cuts.
That's
baby.
your passcode for a lot of things.
Yeah, Ninja Baseball, Batman.
Yeah. And you know what I'd love to hear if since we're giving the viewer listener homework to write in with stuff. I would love to hear if you have a store that has popped up in your mall that is like, oh, this is the harbinger. This is the sign that things are fading.
That's great.
Or like a weird store, or like, at my mall there's a store that does this. I have no idea why it's there. I don't know how it can exist, but that's what it is.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Love to hear about it.
Yeah.
Love to hear from all of you. Thank you all so much for listening and or viewing. We honestly, truly do appreciate it. For Ray Harrington and Chuck Staten, I'm Brad Rohr saying thank you so much, and we're sorry for being Funbearable.
Now, when I was in Bangor, Maine, going to school there, they had a very helpful thing for a long time. They had the regular mall, and then they had the shitty mall.
Dirt mall.
The dirt mall, like right nearby. So it was easy to know. Like if you go to the dirt mall, you're going to get all those weird independent stores where you're like, I think this is a racket, right? Like I think this is some sort of money laundering experience.
Yeah.
And then there was the regular mall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe that's the way to do it. Maybe you need the horrible mall to let the other mall like thrive.
In other words, you're saying if we start our own mall, we should start a shitty mall too next door.
Yeah.
The Brad Mall.
The Dirt Mall.
Yeah.
Dirt mall. Yeah.
Jim's PC Repairs.
The Darth Mall.
The Darth.
Is that something? Can we do something there? What if George Lucas had a mall? You know those moving stairs? They have a name. Escalado. And then you just drop the R. Whatever. I drop the R on most of my words. Not all of
Cool.
them.
I was in Teen Witch.
Yeah, come on. What you know about that? All right, bye.